On this episode of Outside the Box, Christine talks about partnering with the heads of PopCon and Robot Smashing League to put on a combat robotics tournament this June.
Ultimately, I think the culture of PopCon is based on the community, right?
That's what I'm the most excited for to see is a very large audience and a real crowd.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Outside of the Box. And I know I'm hype because I was excited that I recently got to announce a fun partnership that we're doing for an event with Robot Smashing League and PopCon. So I thought a great way to kind of kick things off to maybe give a little bit more information, not just about the robot event, but about PopCon, because PopCon's really awesome, in my opinion, is to have the owner of PopCon, Kris Keys, here with me to talk about it. So welcome to the show, Kris.
Thank you. I'm the co-owner. Carl and I are the two owners of PopCon. And Carl is usually the one that is the face of PopCon. So you guys are getting a little behind the scenes.
Exactly. I'm putting you on the spot this time.
No pressure.
But yes, so just to give everyone a little bit of background of how this came to be. Last year was actually my very first PopCon. I had never been to PopCon before. I had been to other cons, but I went partially because the podcast was nominated for a PopCon podcast award, but I got the opportunity to do a panel and a live podcast, and it was just really cool. And I think the thing that struck me the most from that whole experience was I wasn't expecting a Comic-Con style con to be interested in robotics content, but also to have so many people show up to a panel about combat robotics. So I think where PopCon has the slogan of every fan finds their place, I think that really showed in that experience. So talk a little bit about that aspect of PopCon.
Well, I think to me, that's it's not a surprise to me. Carl and I, we both geek out on our own different things, and we understand that not everybody geeks out over the same things. And that's the beauty of what PopCon is. It's a total pop culture immersion, right? And so BattleBots just seems like a great fit. I mean, who doesn't like things blowing up and running into each other and flipping? And so I mean, I probably am a little ignorant to it, but I've seen it on TV, and I think it's one of the coolest things ever. So but as far as you are part of what we're all about, somebody coming in for the first time and actually immersing themselves into things, not just celebrities. I mean, we have celebrities, but ultimately, I think the culture of PopCon is based on the community, right? And so you became part of the community right away, and good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so funny because I came because I'm like, okay, this is a cool event, and at some point Carl was around, and I was like, I'm just gonna mention to him like, hey, I think it would be really cool to do a robot event at PopCon, being the networking person that I am, and so I didn't think that anything would actually come of it, but I was very pleasantly surprised that the idea sparked interest, and it's kind of led to where we are now, which is the Circle City Clash coming to PopCon this year, which I'm super excited about. I think people are really going to love it. So when the idea first came to you, what were you thinking about it?
Yes, that was the first thing I thought is yes. But how are we going to do it, right? Like, how can we make this happen at PopCon? Like, there's so many logistics, and this is a world that we don't know, right? So how do we provide something that we don't know much about in a way that actually we're not doing a disjustice, right? The last thing I want to do is Carl and I to put on a battling bots smash league kind of thing, and it's not what the fans expect. So I think being able to partner with a group like you guys that knows what they're doing and they're going to bring like their A game. I think it's super exciting for me.
Yeah, for sure. It's exciting for us as well. I mean, anybody that's watched this show knows that my ultimate goal in doing all of this was to grow the community and like show people, hey, fighting robots is a really cool thing, and make more people say that it's a really cool thing. And I think this is a great way to do that, and maybe introduce it to some people that maybe only like saw clips on the internet of it one time, or don't have a whole lot of background, and really let them get in the thick of it, of like seeing these amazing builders and like what they do and what they're passionate about. So I think that's super cool. For fans that are watching this, let's kind of talk a little bit about the general plan of things. I mean, I know we're hosting a plastic ant weight tournament on the Friday of PopCon, which is on the 27th, June 27th, specifically. And the big event on June 28th, which is our beetle weight tournament, with 48 beetles. And Kris, you got to hold a couple of these recently, and I think you were very surprised by the weight of them.
I was. I still don't believe it, by the way, because when you guys first talked about the 1 pound and 3 pound division, I pictured like something this big and maybe something this big competing with each other. And then when you brought the bots that you guys had made, and I swear they weigh at least 10 pounds, and they're bigger than like I almost used the word trapper keeper, but people aren't going to know what that is. A folder. It's bigger than a folder in dimensions, and the fact that you can do that and put a battery in it and let it run for the amount of time and compete, it doesn't make sense in my brain.
Yeah, they are bulkier than one would expect. So I totally understand you there, because I mean, for a long time, my main exposure was BattleBots, and I had never seen a robot or like held a robot in person. And as soon as I kind of got into these smaller weight classes, I was very surprised at the size and scope, and just the variety of what they can look like. And I think everybody's certainly going to see that on display there. And then lastly, kind of on the 29th, we're going to have some exhibitions and things like that, which aren't going to count for anything. There's not going to be a prize, but I think it's still going to be really cool that people can see robots in the box just doing their thing. We may even have some surprises in store coming in. So there's definitely a lot to be excited about when it comes.
There might still be some prizes on Sunday too. So.
There might be. We don't know. There's a lot up in the air, because there's still a couple of months to go until we get there. But yeah, it's going to be very exciting, and I'm really looking forward to it. Now, I know for PopCon as a whole, there's still a lot of planning left to do. In the few short months until we get to June. I know as of right now, there's a couple of things in place. One of the things that I want to talk about that I'm really excited for is that you're doing this creator summit this year, which I'm really excited to be a part of. So I do want to talk a little bit about that, because I think it's just a really cool opportunity.
Yeah, we're excited about that as well. We've kind of built our existence around being able to bring total pop culture, and one of those big components is having content creators. And when I say content creators, I'm talking about the YouTubers, the Twitch, the X or Instagram, whatever you call them nowadays, TikTok. And then also that includes like your writers, your filmmakers, potentially. It also is podcasting, but this is a professional summit. It's not necessarily for fans. This is for the people that are really trying to up their game in the content creation or learn how to make it an actual business. So it's the whole business side of being able to take content creation to the next level.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, it is for the content creators themselves that want to up their game. So it's not necessarily directly part of PopCon, but it's in concert with that, as another supplementary opportunity for people who are interested in it. So I think that that's really cool. Aside from that, is there anything that is, kind of set in stone for PopCon that you can talk about at this point?
Oh gosh, there's all kinds of things. Our International Film Festival, we've had more submissions for the International Film Festival than ever at this point. So that's going to be another step up from what it's been in the past. We've got K-pop and J-pop dance competition that's going to happen this year. I don't know what that's going to look like because, again, this is another out of my realm thing. And we've got a group that knows what they're doing that's helping us put it on. And they've done K-pop and J-pop dance competitions with University of Louisville. So I think it's going to be cool. I mean, it's something different, and that's what I love about PopCon. We've been able to bring yo-yo to our fans. Last year, we brought the Darts Association, and I mean, those are things that you don't normally get to see, but once you kind of get a part of it, it's really cool. So. And then we've got our voice actors and our celebrities, and we've got hundreds of vendors and artists. We've got the escape room, laser tag. So yeah, I mean it's gonna be a lot of fun.
There's definitely something for everyone, including, as I recently saw, Purr Con. So I've been telling everybody, bonus, you get to see robots fight and there's kitties.
This is true. This is true, and it's going to be a small component. But I think it's got potential to be really big. And KJ, who helps us with our social media, is really the one that's focused on running this. It's her dream, and I think she's got tons of connections in that world. And I think she's going to have some pretty interesting guests and panels specific for Purr Con. So I think if you like cats, you don't want to miss it.
I have 4 of them, so you don't have to convince me. Well,
I think we've got you hooked for PopCon. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about that. Yeah, no, I think this is just going to be great. And of course, for information, folks can go on the PopCon website. I know there's a lot of resources on there, not just about like all of the different offerings and things that people can enter for or submit for, but there's even like hotel information, like all of that they could want to know about attending PopCon.
Yeah, we try really hard. I put fillers out with not all, but a lot of the hotels that are surrounding within walking distance. So I think we have contracts with about 12 different hotels that are within walking distance of the convention center. And our goal when we do that is if we can put them on contract, we can get the rate lower for our fan base. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it as cost effective as we can for everybody.
Yeah, for sure, which I know is appreciated by so many people that attend the con. But yeah, I'm so psyched for it. I hope that there's a lot of fans that come out. I've already heard rumblings of a lot of people that are planning on traveling from some distances to be there for this. So I'm pretty excited about it. But no, I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me about it, Kris, because I really think it's going to be great. And if you're watching this episode, stay tuned because I'm going to talk a little bit about this event with Casey from Robot Smashing League to talk more about the robot side of it. So stay tuned for more.
Awesome.
And we're back. And this time we are chatting with Casey from Robot Smashing League, just to kind of continue the conversation about PopCon, which we are also super hyped about. So Casey, excited to have you back on the show to talk about this.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Really excited about this one. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
It definitely is. So the, kind of the backstory too for folks that, don't know, this was something that like, was in the talks with PopCon for quite some time, since last year basically. And it took a little bit of time to get things going, but once they kind of, like let us know, yes, we definitely want to bring this to the con. You were one of the first people that I reached out to because I mean, Robot Smashing League puts on great events, out here in the Midwest, everything else. I think that kind of bringing you into it makes sense. What are you most excited about getting to be a part of this event?
Well, most of the events that I've hosted or been a part of have been relatively small on the spectator side. So that's what I'm the most excited for to see is a very large audience and a real crowd. A lot of the events that we do here locally, we don't really advertise all that much because we're not really set up to handle that many spectators. We did an event about a year and a half ago where we were at a like towns like festival kind of days, and we saw kind of a taste of what having a few hundred people come through looks like. But this is going to be an order of magnitude larger, so it's going to be substantial on how many spectators that we're going to see throughout the day, and I think that's what I'm singularly most excited for.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can't envision that we're gonna have like 5,000 people crowded around the cage at once. Would that be awesome? It would be awesome, but I still think it's gonna draw a lot of attention. Because I mean, folks in Indiana, I mean, like as you know, have been kind of starving for some kind of
Oh yeah.
decent sized event for a while. So it's exciting to finally bring it here.
Yeah, yeah, and one of the items, right, that's related to that spectator portion, and the fact that we're at a con, is that we limit it to just Beatles only for the main event, and then we limited it to weapons only. So you have to have an active weapon, right? Like it's as much for the competitor as it is for the spectator and for the con, right? Like it has to work for everyone, right? So we want to be putting on like good, entertaining fights. We want to see hard hits. We want to see things get turned to shrapnel, right? Like that's what we're here for.
That is true. That's what the people want to see, and I think we may get a fair bit of that with both of the tournaments. We are having a plastic ant tournament on Friday. It's going to be 32 plastic ants. So I mean, for those of you with 3D printers, now's a good time to get it fired up and start coming up with some ideas. To register and hopefully enter. And then, of course, the beetle weight tournament, which is going to be 48, which honestly, that's pretty big for a beetle weight event here in the
Yep.
Midwest. So I'm really excited, not just about like the level of competition we're going to have, but we're going to be able to get a lot of folks in and getting to run their robots.
Yeah, and the reason why we have the plastic cans as well, right? Is because the plastic cans are also entertaining. The they're such a fun class. You still get that shrapnel effect with them. In fact, a lot of the plastic cans like to turn the shrapnel out all on their own. They don't need any assistance.
That is true. Some of them unfortunately do that. But yeah, we want to see mayhem. We want to see destruction. I think that's what the folks at PopCon want. I'm sure that's what like everybody wants is just knock down, drag out fights and stuff like that. So we're certainly hoping to bring that. I think the really cool thing about having the experience at PopCon is that we have the events, but it's like something over the course of 3 days that is bigger than just the tournament. We're going to have at least one panel happening. We'll have the live podcast, hopefully some kind of workshop situation going on, just lots of activities for people to get involved. I mean, I could speak to that too, but Casey, I just want to hear your perspective. Like, why are having all of those types of things so vital to getting people involved in combat robotics who don't have any experience in it?
Well, it gets us a lot of notoriety, right? The sport is pretty small. There's a lot of people that haven't experienced it at all. They've never seen it live. They've only seen 250-pound bots on TV, and that's the only thing they're familiar with. A lot of people don't understand that there is this smaller, more easy to get into side of it. and specifically, right, like we talked about plastic ants. Plastic ants are super easy to get into for the cost of a roll of filament and some parts, of which those same parts you can, the actual motors and gearboxes and batteries, right? You can use those over and over again. Plastic ants are pretty forgiving on those kind of components. So it's just going to be a major shift to see so many fresh people have an open perspective with the sport and see it at such a good venue and such a good event and at such a high level.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think that the great thing is that there's so much that the con has to offer. So even for builders, because obviously I don't think that we're gonna have a problem with people wanting to compete in this event, but for builders who are looking to compete, keeping in mind there's so much that you get to the tournament, you get to participate in other things. There's going to be exhibitions on Sunday. You can kind of participate in all that PopCon has to offer, which I think is just really cool because I mean, people go to the events because they love the events, but at the same time, like you get a little bit more for like the travel that you spent and everything coming out for it.
Yeah, it'll be a longer weekend, right? Generally speaking, a lot of these events are single day events generally. So you come out, you fight for a couple hours, you leave. Whereas this, like, stick around the whole weekend, be there from, Thursday night through Sunday. Take it all in.
Yeah, exactly. Make a weekend of it.
Yeah.
I think that PopCon really I'm glad that those folks really love this idea and they appreciate what we're trying to do and the level of competition that we're trying to bring. And so I'm excited, already like the buzz that this has gotten so far and a lot of the folks that are really interested in being involved. It's super encouraging to kind of continue to build off of this and grow the sport as we've been trying to do.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great time all around. I think there's gonna be a lot of memories made out of this one. With some of the limitations that we put on the Beatles, right? Active weapon, and specifically it being Beatles, it should be a very active, very chaotic day. But backing from that up a little bit, right? It is still an MRCA ranked event, right? We're still trying to bring a very strong level of competition, right? With us at RSL, that's how we've gotten to where we're at so far is through focusing on the competitor. We make sure that the competitor has a very good experience, and that's why they keep coming back, right? We want to bring that same level to this. There is a little bit of competing interest though in putting on a good show while doing that. So we need to strike a good balance and have a good show, but an event that's strong for the competitor as well.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, it does give that extra incentive that it is a ranked event because people are obviously very interested in that. I mean, it's nice to have a trophy at the end too, but but when you put the whole package together, I think that it really incentivizes a lot of people who may be interested. And I think it's a win like all the way around for everybody that's involved. Now, as far as the registration, I mean, I know I've posted about this, but just reminding everybody, April 24th. Now we are into April, so we've got a few weeks until registration officially opens. But if you just want to talk a little bit about, that and making sure that people are ready to go because we expect it will fill up very fast.
Yeah, the big thing, right, is make sure you're coming. We don't want to have empty slots left over. We don't want to have a situation where someone could have gotten in, but they didn't. So make sure your bots are ready to go. Make sure that if you're committing to it, you're coming out, right? Try and find a hotel, right? You're gonna want to stay the whole weekend. The slots, I'm anticipating them to fill up quick. There is 48 slots though, and historically we haven't had a event that large for Beatles for the MRCA. But we are drawing in quite a few outside sources as well for filling those registration slots. I'm imagining they're probably going to fill relatively quickly. You're definitely going to want to be there when the registration opens up. That's for sure. Uh, let's keep it limited, to ideally one bot per driver to start with, and then later on down the road, if there's slots open, let's feel free to fill them on in. But yeah, the big thing is just making sure that your bots are ready to go and that it actually exists.
Yes, that it exists, and it is listed on the RCE events website, and you have all of your things set up in there. Because I've made the unfortunate mistake in the past of not doing that, and then in being like, "Oh no!" So don't let
Yep.
yourself wind up on the wait list because you forgot to do that. Um,
Yep.
and as Casey mentioned, if you have multiple bots, keep in mind that we are going to have exhibitions on Sunday. So if you want to bring your bot and just fight it for like no stakes necessarily and just battle test it, feel free to do that. That's another option for you.
Yeah, and so during the day on Saturday, right, during the actual Beetleweight tournament, the early on in the day, it's going to be the tournament format's modified Swiss. So early on in the day, it's going to be back-to-back-to-back fights. There's not going to be any room for grudge matches, exhibition fights during the beginning portion. But once we get into the single elimination at the end of the day, there often becomes time slots that we can fill people in as well. So if you stick around during the day, right, we'll be able to get you in later. If not, like, we'll find some sort of way to keep the crowds entertained.
Exactly. Plenty of robots there. I'm sure somebody will be willing to throw a couple of them into the box. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, and if you guys have ever seen, one of our events, we often at the end of the day throw in a big box of golf balls in and let everyone go nuts on them. It's an experience, an experience that you don't want to miss. So, definitely if you get out of the tournament early, stick around. The golf ball round is always super fun.
yeah, for sure. And even if you're not interested in competing, but you just want to come to a really cool robot event, I mean, PopCon has the links. I know Robot Smashing League has a link. I have a link out to buy passes if that's something that you want to do. I think regardless of whether you're competing or not, it's going to be a really cool thing to go to. You can feel free to come volunteer, be on a panel, be on the live podcast. Like there's so many options of how you can get involved in it if you want to. So just remember June 27th through the 29th. We still have a couple of months away, but I'm really excited and I can't wait. Any last thoughts on the event, Casey, or anything else you think people need to know?
Nothing more than it's going to be a great time. You're not going to want to miss it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, for everybody who's watching, if you have any questions about the event, please feel free to reach out to myself or Robot Smashing League. I'm sure either myself or Casey would be happy to answer any questions that you have. And otherwise, look out for the registration. Do not forget, set your alarms. And we will see everybody next time on the show.